Do you know? Has anyone seen the kids' film Up? Right, you know the little old man with the glasses on. I swear to you, we were playing away at Sunderland, and a live human version of the man in Up was there. And I said, the lads were having stuff with.
Hello, ladies and blokes, and welcome back to the Utter Bloke Nonsense podcast. I'm Rabbit.
I'm JJ.
And we are the American FPL podcast from the other side of the pond. We are American FPL fans who want FPL content and humor that's a bit different from our British counterparts. And we also want to bring a different perspective to the game and get away from the FPL content creator echo chamber, because it's quite boring and it could be a pretty sad place, as if you've been following any content creators as of this past week. It's been a tough one, but this episode, of course, we're going to get into the results of this past game week 2, and talk about our future plans. It's been an interesting week. Not the most eventful, but I think a lot of people are having some second guessing their teams a lot, their selections from the initial week, and really thinking about shaking things up. So, JJ, let's get into your team for this week.
Yeah, the content creator echo chamber definitely has me in a vice grip right now. I feel like I went with some of the like, not necessarily template picks, because actually my team is pretty non-template, but I went with some of like the popular content creator picks, mainly Watkins and Bowen, who have really been giving everybody who brought them in, and really the fans of their own club, if you're Jared Bowen, some troubles. So yeah, I'm in the rank 7 million, just like my fellow content creator FPL Raptor. It's not that fun down here. Just down here in the muck and mire with everybody who mostly probably people who also had Watkins and Bowen in their team and who made some unfortunate picks. Yeah, I think my squad is looking fairly weak, to be honest. I mean, that's, I think, how everyone feels if you have 2 weeks where you kind of feel like they were duds. Just to recap how my team did, I had Verbruggen in at goal, and that was not ideal. He had a 1-pointer versus Everton. It was Everton's home debut at their new stadium, and they showed out. Despite, if you actually look at the underlying numbers, and actually if you just watch the game, their stats weren't really that great, and they scored from 2 outside of the box goals. Or actually, one wasn't outside of the box. One was a rifled in cross that Njai tapped in. And one was a Jimmy Gardner absolute rocket from outside of the box. That also was a Grealish assist, but really those rarely go in. So I don't know. I feel like a little bit unlucky, but at the end of the day, Brighton's defense, I think, as we've seen so far this year, we saw last year too, they can ship goals sometimes, and this was a light example of that. Nico Williams had a 2-pointer against Palace this week. The real Palace and Forest both are looking like pretty tidy defenses, but this match they both allowed 1 goal, so it was 1-1 draw. Unfortunate to only have 2 points there, but Munoz on the other side of things was able to secure an assist on the Palace goal. He's also in my squad, so I feel good about that. Also got my first defensive contributions of points of this season with Anderson from Fulham. Despite conceding a goal against United, maybe slightly controversial one, actually. There were some set piece tactics and just general roughhousery going on in the box that were a little bit controversial, as well as an assist from Mbumo that got taken away as it was ruled as an own goal. Regardless, that clean sheet got wiped away for Fulham. But thankfully, Anderson, who's kind of been lauded for his defensive contributions abilities, actually secured those. So that felt pretty good. Yeah, that extra 2 points. Saved me from a real disaster game week, but honestly, it still might have been one. So I actually had De Kuiper as my second bench option this week. But with Cole Palmer and Jorginho Ruter both being ruled out last week because of injuries, both as a surprise, that is, too. De Kuiper actually came in as my fourth defender. Unfortunate blank as well, conceding 2 goals and also getting that yellow card. I think De Kuiper is not looking like a great FPL option at this point.
Not looking good.
Yeah, not a super involved in the attack as actually a lot of Brighton left backs have been in the past. And I would say Brighton, despite actually having really good stats last match, are one of the more underwhelming teams in the Prem right now. They're in the bottom 4. They have not been able to get a win yet. They had a real late. It actually really could have been a win the week 1, but they conceded off a set piece in the last minutes of the game. So yeah, Brighton overall, I think I had a Brighton triple up, and that is part of my team's woes. Because they all blanked or had a 1-pointer this week. So that's tough. Captain Salah, that felt pretty solid despite it only being a 5-pointer. I'm glad to have a captain that got some points. Brought me up, even though I think a lot of other people captained him. It's still like having your captain get points, seeing that 10 points on the board. He's my highest scoring, at least if you include captaincy, highest scoring. So that was good. Iliman Njai with the goal scored and the clean sheet against Brighton. He looked great in that game. He actually got subbed at 63 minutes, which is not ideal in terms of FPL, but he was heavily involved in all their attacks. He was dribbling past guys like no tomorrow. And yeah, I think he looked great. Long term, I'm starting to get a little bit worried about him because Everton's just attackers and attacking midfielders are starting to get more and more. That spot is just starting to get more and more crowded. Now, Grealish coming in and being in form. They just brought Dibbling from Southampton as well. And so I might be looking, or I'm most likely looking to get rid of Njai in my wild card next week, which I'll talk about a little bit. Or actually after next week, week 4 during the international break. I could talk more about my strategy there in a little bit. But yeah, I'd say very promising from Njai. He played very well, and I think next match against Wolves is a really good looking one as well. So feel good going into that. Harry Wilson is another player who I had on my bench, who got brought in because of injury substitutions. He had a 1-pointer. Unfortunately, despite getting an assist last game, he actually came off the bench against United and was not involved in that goal that they scored. And so, yeah, just the 1-pointer, which is disappointing. I think another storyline for me early on in the season is that bench boost required me to take some punts that didn't really pay off, or rather some differentials. Wilson and Jorginho being the main ones, despite actually returning in the first game week, which is pretty good. Having them both blank this week is really tough. And yeah, I think if I had more money to spread around, if I wasn't trying to get viable players in every position, I could have possibly just gotten a better team overall and filled it out with more good assets who will start every week. So yeah, that's just kind of a learning that I'm gonna look into for future bench boosts and especially bench boosts match week 1. I probably will not do that again. And then my forwards were Evan Nilsson, Bowen, and Watkins. The Blanky trio up there. Even Nilsson, I would say, probably looked the most dangerous of the three. He had some pretty good chances. And I think came close to getting an assist as well, if I remember. But yeah, just wasn't in the cards. And also, honestly, especially at his price point, I feel the best about Even Nilsson moving forward. I think it's only a matter of time until he gets a goal. Bournemouth's attack has been really good in the opening 2 game weeks. Not quite, and he hasn't been obviously quite as dangerous as Semenyo, who has an insane 2 xG in his first 2 games. But yeah, I think he looks solid. Not bad about that. Watkins and Bowen, geez, both of these guys are putting up stinkers in their first 2 games. That means that they're probably due to get a goal. At least that's what I'll tell myself to avoid going crazy with having them in my team. And then sat third bench, the one bench player who I didn't get come off would have been my second highest scoring player this game week, and that's Mickey Van de Ven, who held a clean sheet against my beloved Man City in what was a really tough game. Also, if you look at the data, I watched the game and City did not deserve to win, but if you look at the data, we did out XG them, and they like really outperformed their XG as well. So a bit unlucky, a bit lucky for him to get the clean sheet. But overall, I mean, I think we're seeing Spurs still own Man City in these matchups like they have for the past while. And yeah, City, I still think they'll be good this year, but they're not returning to their like world beater invincible form right to start out this season that I think maybe some people thought they would. So yeah, that's my squad overall. We could talk about future plans once we both go through our teams. So yeah, Rabbit, do you want to go through yours?
Absolutely. So I had mostly an average week, but it was a good week to have an average week for the most part. I ended on 58 points. According to Live FPL, I was on a red arrow by 2 points, so almost a gray arrow, and which is honestly sort of crazy because the average on the FPL app is 51, which honestly I feel is like really high. I feel like a lot of people have been like in the 30s or 40s. Like 51 just seems a little bit high. Maybe they're all Timber owners, but
Yeah, I was wondering. Yeah, I think all the Joao Pedro owners probably
that's true.
dropped that up too because he's like the
Yeah,
most owned player, crazily enough. But yeah,
yeah.
it's. I was surprised too because I saw a lot of, maybe it was just the content creator bubble that we talk about. A lot of
hmm
these content creators with some underwhelming game weeks. So
Yeah.
not ideal.
Speaking of Joao Pedro, he has arrived, and yeah, that was a really fantastic return from him. Of course, he's in my team. 15-pointer, 2 assists and a goal. We love to see it, and yeah, one of the assists I feel like was sort of jammy, but we'll take it. And like, yeah, I don't know. West Ham were just really bad. I think they're definitely a team to target. And so that's just something to note for the future in terms of returns from my other players. Mo Salah, of course, getting a return in the 90th minute somehow, an assist, a measly assist, but we'll take it. NDI, we shared that return. Got the Semenyo assist. As you mentioned, Semenyo had huge chances on, I think it was Saturday, and it was sort of frustrating to watch. But honestly, I'm just counting, my blessings, I guess, from game week 1 with that unexpected brace. So, what's it? 21 points over 2 weeks. I'll take it. And of course, Palmer getting subbed out on my team for Pedro Porro. Easy 5 points there. And Raya getting the clean sheet, 6 points, easy peasy. The rest of my team blanked. Milinkovic, De Kuiper, Mateta. Kudus got a clean sheet point, but, no attacking return. The main point of concern for my team right now is Ain't Nori, who went off injured in the 20th, 30th minute for City, and I feel like my hand is forced to sub him or to transfer him out because I just don't want 6 million going to waste on my defense. Really, I just really want to use that funds towards someone like a Munoz or I've been looking at Cucurella. It sort of sucks because Cucurella is actually at 6.1. I didn't realize people were transferring him in like crazy, last week. But yeah, and the Palmer news is sort of concerning. I'm really it sort of sucks because I really like the rest of my team for the most part. I don't feel like I need to move, but these injuries are sort of forcing my hand. Even though they don't seem super serious, they're both expensive assets, and I really can't just have that money not being used right now. I don't think I'm really playing with the idea of going Palmer to Cunha, and then Ain't Nori to Munoz. That would leave me with 0.4, just so I could go back to Palmer at some point, and I don't get priced out. Because if I go from Palmer to Cunha and then Ain't Nori to Cucurella, I might be pricing myself out of a future Palmer move, which would be annoying. So yeah. So pretty good. Like I said, good week to have an average week, I would say. And I sort of went into my future plans a little bit. But yeah, you're thinking about a wild card pretty soon.
Yes, yeah. I think I mentioned this last week, but the match week 4 wild card is looking pretty juicy right now. Especially because I think my squad is just not looking too strong. And I could load it up with guys with good fixtures who are a little bit more proven assets from teams that have been good so far. Guys like Ekitike, if Isak does not go to Liverpool, Gakpo has also looked very good. And also it allows me to punt on United and Forest assets next week, who have really good assets next week or really good fixtures next week, and then tougher fixtures the following week. So yeah, that's the plan right now. As of right now, I'm looking to transfer Palmer if he remains injured to Bruno Fernandes.
Rough.
I know that's a bit of an unpopular take right now. Fernandes, I think, is one of the one of the more popular, I'd say, like top 10 to 15 most transferred out players right now. But I think between him being on corners from the left side, being on penalties, hopefully still after he missed the penalty this week, but I think he still will be, and being on free kicks, plus the defensive contributions, which he's gotten 24 so far, which is really great for a midfielder. Plus, just generally being involved in goal scoring actions and just the attack in general for United. He's really talisman, for better or for worse. And a lot of United fans have been saying it's for worse this week. But, in FPL, he's still a pretty consistent asset year over year. He's one of the top scoring assets, and he's got to get a return at some point. And if he can't do it against Burnley, then what is he even worth? Then maybe they should just get rid of him and play Manu and Casemiro in their double pivot. But yeah, I feel like I'm just going to take the risk on Fernandes. Also, probably going to captain him, just because I feel like Arsenal is a trap fixture. Not feeling great about Liverpool's ability to haul, at least. I could see, I bet now, especially now that I do this, Salah could definitely score. But just don't feel great about him as a captaincy asset this week. So Fernandes, I think, is going to be my guy there. And then my other transfer, I think I'm looking to target West Ham, as we mentioned, because they have been real poor. I'm going to go Ruter to Morgan Gibbs-White, the Nottingham Forest midfielder. Another kind of similar to Bruno player who is on a lot of set pieces, free kicks, pretty talismanic, maybe sometimes disappointing. But I feel like he is the best non-Chris Wood avenue that you can get into the Forest attack right now. Dan N'Doye and Callum Hudson-Odoi have been really good so far. N'Doye has 16 points. Hudson-Odoi has 12 to start out the season. But I think that the wing spots at Forest, there's a little bit more rotation risk there. They just signed another forward. I think it's Cali Muendo. I believe that's the guy. I forget that it's either Forest or Villa that signed him. But like they each signed guys from the French league that are good forwards. And I think the Forest guy could play winger and forward, and that's actually I think they subbed last game towards the end. They subbed him on at winger, so it feels a little bit risky. I actually was really toying with Hudson-Odoi because I liked how he's been playing the first few weeks, but I think Gibbs White feels a little bit safer. Just more of a less of a rotation risk, a little bit more of a chance to get set piece assists or free kicks or whatever it may be. So yeah, those are the plans. Sticking with unless Palmer is fully cleared to play, which I think is unlikely. I think even if he does play, there probably will be a flag leading up to this game week. That's what I'm going with. And then if Palmer ends up being cleared, I'll bring in Chris Wood and Elliot Anderson for a little Forest double up. So yeah, those are my plans. What are your adventure plans?
Yeah, I think I feel an urgent need to get rid of Aït-Nouri. I mean, from what I've seen from his injury report, although it's pretty early, it's looking like 3 or 4 weeks. It looked like just like a nasty sprain from what I heard, or just some type of sprain. And so that's at least a couple of weeks, and it's just like that's a premium defender slot I want to be using. Yeah, I like having one really expensive defender, and I guess like there's not that. I think I have a pretty good idea of who would be good. Yeah, it's gonna be Cucurella or Munoz. Munoz has better fixtures, I think, over the next 4. Crystal Palace play Villa away next, which on the ticker says it's bad. It's a red fixture, but to me, I'm just like, nah. Palace is keeping a clean sheet there, nah, for sure. So, and yeah, maybe a cheeky assist for Munoz. And honestly, with Mateta in my team, who I like, he's been blanking, but I'm gonna keep because I think in the next 2 or 3 weeks the fixtures get really good for Palace. A Munoz to Mateta, goal would that's the thing of FPL dreams. So I do love when one of your assets assists the goal scorer who's also on your team. So could just go for that, and it'll just save me some money, which is probably what I'm most concerned about. Because if I have to get rid of Palmer, I just want to have the funds to go back to him because he's like, there's no other midfielder at his price point really that's going to be good. Saka got injured over the weekend, of course, so that's the only other player that I would really. That's the only other player I would consider going for, and I think Palmer's still a good asset. The fixtures for Chelsea are still good. Captaincy for next week is going to be weird because I don't want to captain Salah. I might go João Pedro. That'd be sort of crazy, I guess.
Interesting.
But it's not looking too bad, and I'm not trying to let the haul from last week get too much, cloud my judgment here. But it's not looking too bad, and I don't really see Liverpool doing all that well against Arsenal. Like, I think they'll probably still win, but not a lot of goals. And yeah, I might be talking about Liverpool pretty soon here. But yeah, I don't think I'm using any chips soon. I mean, honestly, the free hit doesn't sound too bad right now, just to buy some time for that Palmer injury, because it seems like it probably won't be that long term. And I could go attack that United at home to Burnley fixture, which does look really nice. I could just even triple up on Chelsea, and yeah. But I mean, I don't think there's enough really attackable fixtures really to go after, in my opinion. Actually,
Yeah.
Forest against West Ham. Actually, I would triple up with Forest for that one.
For
But
sure.
yeah, like Wood. Honestly, for your team, I think I would try for Wood over Gibbs White. I know, like, having Palmer on your bench or whatever, or not using the funds from Palmer might be tough. But I think Wood is going to be the guy. I think he's going to bully that defense, and he's on pens. You know, he's the guy.
Yeah. No, he's definitely. I think that he's the best of the Forest assets. I do feel like it's almost getting to be like we talked about the content creator bubble and everything. I feel like the piling on against West Ham is getting to so much where I almost want to go against it and keep Bowen because I just feel like with the way that the content creator jinx goes, that Bowen might actually be the guy to maybe not Hall. I think that's a little bit too likely, or too unlikely. But I feel like he might nab one, and I feel like Wood could blank, and so I don't know. I do feel like if you're free hitting, it's probably Forest United assets. Maybe some Newcastle guys as well, although they're looking a little beaten up after that Liverpool game. They had like 3 or 4 guys go off injured, so it's gonna be interesting to
Well,
see who they even trot out.
when I was watching that game, I was like, "Oh, Gordon's looking nice." I was like, and
Yeah,
then he
he
gets the
was.
red
Yeah,
card. That
yeah,
was
he was
so
looking
tragic.
good. I mean, I like Asula, but seems like he's
Minutes.
on a very short leash. If it took
Yeah.
that much for him to even get subbed on, yeah, I think Everton assets Wolves away. Wolves they won against West Ham in the cup, but they did allow 2 goals against West Ham, so I think there's still probably an offense to target. Yeah, those are probably the main ones. Maybe Brentford against Sunderland, although the Stadium of Light was jumping match week 1, so we'll see how the Sunderland's defense is looking next week. But yeah, if you're free hitting, those are just some teams that maybe you'll want to bring in assets for. But yeah,
Storylines?
I think some of the storylines from this past week. We could talk about the injuries. Yeah, Palmer and Saka, both of those, the 2 most expensive midfielders, if you don't count Salah, both getting injured. That stirs up a lot of people's teams. I think maybe not most people, because a lot of people had Verts too. But if you combine those two ownerships, especially among the highly ranked teams, that accounts for a ton of
Yeah,
teams. And
he
so a
had
lot of
one or
people
the
are going
other.
to be, a lot of people are going to be looking to transfer them out. I saw, not sure how viable the source is. Someone said that the scans came back negative. He probably, I guess the scans came back negative, which is good. He's probably going to be, he's unlikely to start, but he might be available to play this week. And that was like a Facebook message that somebody got. So I don't know how,
Tier one. Tier one.
yeah, exactly. I'm not sure how reliable or unreliable that source is. But yeah, I feel like it's just going to be interesting. I think, I mean, 1 million people have transferred Palmer out already, which is crazy.
Well, if there was like a bit of controversy I heard after sort of the game week because West Ham Chelsea was the first match of the week. That I think there was early team news of like Palmer starting on the right, Palmer starting on the right. So there was a
Right.
lot of people captaining Palmer. I
Yeah.
wasn't really paying attention to it because I was pretty stern on Salah going into last game week, but I was just like, it would have been really funny to see, all those, Team League commercials get burned by this if the captaincy vice captaincy swap rule wasn't in effect for whatever reason, like
Yeah. No,
because
I saw someone get burned by that. They had Palmer captain and Gordon vice captain,
oh
and they got a -4 from Gordon, which is crazy.
we love
But
that.
yeah, I mean, another game week, Gordon probably gets some returns, but
I
it
mean,
said he
he's plus
decided to run like a chicken with his head cut off and two-footed tackle Van Dyke.
that
That
was
was
such a
insane.
bummer. That was such a bummer.
Yeah,
Yeah, because
I
I was
know the
like,
game.
it was looking like such a great match. Then
It was. I
I
mean,
mean,
to
it
be
still ended
fair,
up
it
being a
still
good
was
match.
really good.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, that was a shame. Also, Saka. What I heard about Saka is 2 to 3 weeks. I don't know if you saw that news. Probably until
Yeah,
after the
yeah.
international break. So
Yeah, it looked like a
yeah,
hamstring when I was watching that game, and I think that's what it's being reported as. And yeah, with hamstrings, I mean, it wasn't the same hamstring he hurt last season, but they're just tough to
he
come back from, Yeah, he's being
yeah,
run
he's
into
a
the
bit of
ground.
a hamstring. I know.
Arteta, don't kill him, please.
He
Okay,
is a hamstring merchant, and honestly, that's usually hamstring injuries come from
overload.
overuse. So
Yeah,
yeah, not ideal. I mean, they're bringing in Eze. That's probably another storyline to talk about.
indeed. Yeah.
So that's going to be interesting. I really was considering, or I'm still considering bringing him in on the wild card because Arsenal have a bit of a fixture swing. I think weeks 5 and 6 are tough for them, but 4 is a bit easier. So I'm probably will just wait until the fixtures get better. But I was starting to tinker with my wild card 4 team, and he fit the bill. So
I mean, if Eze
we'll see with
starts,
him. Yes, if he
he's
starts,
going to be brilliant. Yeah.
and he should start on the left because that's I think one of his best. That's what he starts at. He has been starting at Palace, and he's their best left winger in my opinion. I think he like vastly clears Martinelli and Madueke / Trossard. So yeah, I think that he's going to be, especially at 7.5. That's going to be a really good asset at some point once he cracks the lineup. Yeah, so
Yeah, it's pretty insane how the Kai Havertz injury sort of sparked Arsenal getting Eze, because I think on one of the podcast episodes, like it looked pretty certain it looked like Eze was going to Spurs, and I was just like, what are Arsenal doing? Like
we got
they,
it. Here we go. There was a
yeah,
here we go for Spurs, and then it was a fake here we go, or maybe that was Morgan
oh,
doing play, but still, like
yeah.
yeah, it seemed like it was going to happen, and then yeah, Arsenal pulled off
No,
the
but like it always made
hijacket.
sense, even if Kai didn't get hurt. Like Arsenal, it's crazy how they were forced into making their best transfer of the window. It was just like like a Kai Havertz injury set that off, and it's just like, okay, this mid player gets hurt, which makes you bring in an actually needed profile for your team. It's like that's crazy. Like Gyökeres was definitely a needed profile. Was he the best option? We will see. I think if Arsenal knew that Isaac would potentially be on the market, I think you wait in that situation if you're Arsenal. So, but it was hard to know that he was even like potentially on the move. But I think if Isaac was to I think all the news around him is like, oh, he only wants Liverpool. It's just because that's the only team that has the funds and everything that can really make it happen, and that's actually competitive. So, but if Arsenal was to wait around, and it's Isaac wears the number 14 for a reason, yeah, a lot of funny transfer stuff going on. But speaking of Liverpool, Wirtz, people are out on another Leverkusen flop, clearly. So another blank and a price drop for him. Not in my team. And do I think he's going to be... I mean, that Newcastle game was just tough. Most Liverpool players looked bad. Salah was a ghost for most of it. Ekitike was actually the only one who was like, of the attacking players that I could say was like really good. Gakpo got like the assist, but it was sort of a jammy assist if you ask me. But honestly, I still hope this Isaac transfer doesn't go through, because I just want starting Ekitike all the time on my fantasy team. It'd just be so fun.
Yeah, Ekitike. I feel like Ekitike as just the guy at Liverpool is probably better than Isak at Liverpool with Ekitike also there, because there's just always the rotation risk then. Whereas, I mean, obviously he's a lot cheaper too, which is a big factor. But yeah, I feel like if you have both of them, then you're gonna sub one out for the other, and it's gonna lead to just like annoying rotation headaches. And maybe one game Ekitike starts and Isak comes off the bench, and you don't want that from a 10.5 mil striker. So I agree. I think Verts. I mean, honestly, like pretty much like you said, everyone in Liverpool looked bad. Both their goals came from like outside of the box, like just kind of pokes that just kind of happened to trickle in. One was a crazy deflection. Or maybe not crazy, but like yeah, the Gravenberch shot took a deflection. And then I guess they had the late goal that did come from the dummy Soboslai, which was great. But yeah, they had like 0 XG from the 46th minute through the 90th minute, which is crazy.
Oh my god.
And yeah, just I think they'll still be good. And Newcastle were like definitely employing some terror tactics, but still, yeah. Verts, I'm not feeling. I don't think I'll bring him in anytime soon until I start to see something change, because he's playing kind of deep, or deeper than I think you would like for a player like him. And yeah, it seems like Gakpo honestly is the guy out of the Liverpool midfielders,
It's
not
true.
named Salah, that seems to be getting involved more, because he cuts in, he gets into good spaces. Yeah, he got 2 assists. Both of them were kind of Mickey. But overall, I think he's still looking pretty good. And at least he's getting involved. So I'm thinking about bringing him in for the wild card. But yeah, I think Liverpool, like, it'll be interesting to see. They have a couple tough fixtures, because also they've got Arsenal coming up. Then the fixtures turn a little bit after that, and I'm definitely going to be targeting a triple up when I wildcard. Some teams who have been poor recently, or at least to start out the season: Villa, Wolves, West Ham. I would say this is a little bit spicy, but even Everton, I think, if you looked at the data last match, especially, I had this exact thought leading into the match week. I was like, Everton are probably going to win because it's their first ever game at this new stadium. Like, that's just kind of how these things tend to go. And they did. But yeah, it wasn't. I mean, 2-0 is a convincing win. But if you look at the data, they had Brighton had like 1.5 more XG than they did. And yeah, both of their goals or I mean, they had one goal that was good, and then their other goal was sort of a half chance that they just smashed in. So we'll see. I'm still not fully in on the Everton assets overall. Pickford is still looking good, but you never know. I mean, I think they have some games where they just shift goals, and that defense they don't really have like a lot of guys. Like the lineups that they tried out defensively
Yeah.
are also not ideal with Garner and left back and O'Brien, who's sort of a makeshift right back as well.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I think
I
keep
mean,
an eye out. I think Everton could be a fixture target, I guess is what I'm saying.
they lost to Leeds on the first game week, which is just that's sort
Yeah.
of unforgivable. That's why I was just like, oh yeah, they're going down. I was like, and like yeah, I think Pickford got the penalty save in the last match too, and Grisham, Jackie boy, had a positive impact, but yeah, we'll see. I mean, it's just shaky foundations. Shaky foundations.
Yeah, for real. Speaking of foundations that are maybe looking less shaky than we thought they'd be, every newly promoted team has gotten a win so far, which is pretty cool. In the first two match weeks of the season, I remember last year it took months for that to
Yeah.
happen. So I think that they're like last year it was really tough to find assets from those teams that were good. Delap maybe was the best, and people really tried to convince themselves that Greaves was going to be the guy.
Or
Uh,
Dibbling.
yeah, Dibbling. Yeah, there were some guys from those teams that people considered, but I think this year there could be some real guys that are good on these newly promoted teams.
Giyu got a
Yeah,
goal today.
Sunderland's. What's that?
Giyu got a goal today.
Yeah, Mark Gilbert, Mark Yu. He finally got playing time and got a goal. I think Mayenda had a goal that got disallowed last week, and then also he's scored game week 1. Um, Sunderland player, just an interesting guy to keep an eye on. Josh Cullen is one of the highest scoring FPL assets in the entire game, which is kind of crazy. I would not advise bringing him in, but yeah, he's been pretty good. Yeah, just kind of an interesting storyline. And then yeah, I guess our last thing here is the just like what like we talked about a little bit earlier, the creator crash out and the AI backlash. I don't know if you wanted to do like a spiel on this.
Yeah, well, it's just while perusing my FPL content creators, I was watching some of the streams reviewing their past week, and people are mad, and people are upset, and people are finally starting to call out the fantasy football hub stuff, which is honestly a bit overdue, if you ask me, but.
Yes.
People are just finally being forced to like make their own sort of decisions, and yeah, like they have to justify their livelihoods again. I just love the fear,
Yes. No more 98% AI percentage rated squad on Fantasy Football Hub. Here's my creator code.
Yeah, yeah, but overall, I think the game is just in a pretty interesting state. I know it's a slow week for a lot of people, but I think it's just going to force some interesting moves. Yeah, like I'm definitely forced into some interesting stuff just because of the injuries. To be honest, I wish the injuries weren't happening because I am quite. If Ainuri and Palmer were fit, I'd be like ready to go again with the same team. But yeah, it's interesting times in FPL.
For real. Yeah. It seems like we're having some of the old goats. The like I mean Mbumo being at United now, I guess is the guy that I'm thinking of. We're moving on from some of these guys. And maybe guys like Watara and Semenyo and some of these new guys are going to be like the new FPL goats for this season. So I think that's kind of cool too. That we it feels like there's a little bit of shaking up, and yeah, this year in the Premier League, there's been so many transfers, and just the teams that are trotting out completely new lineups. And so yeah, it's going to be interesting to see who ends up being good, if there are any flops out there. If Villa can turn it around.
Oh my
uh,
god.
yeah, if Brentford are actually they're looking solid. I mean, I don't know. I think that's another storyline that I forgot to mention. But yeah, Brentford have been good the first 2 match weeks. Watara looked very good. People are kind of crowning in the new Mbumo, which maybe is a little bit premature.
Yeah.
But I liked him a lot when he was at Bournemouth. So I think that he's a guy who could be really good. And he's super fast. I mean, he's just like gets in behind, and on that goal, he just got in behind everybody. So
I knew
yeah, I
Brentford were
think it'll
staying
be
up.
interesting to follow. What's that?
I knew Brentford were staying up. And
Yeah.
also, I got to say, Thiago, the striker, is looking like one to watch as well, just
Yes.
because, honestly, Brentford's striking recruitment has, like, the past, 7, 8 years, spotless. Like, they don't miss. Like, they had Watkins, and then he got poached. They had Ivan Toney, then he got he got suspended and then poached, and then Mbumo and Wisa, and now they're on, like, Wisa's on the way out and Mbumo's gone. Someone's gonna be next. Like, they're just
Yeah.
got a solid. They're just a solidly run team. Yeah, and they have been bled dry, but I just feel like they got good bones. So
Seriously.
yeah.
Yeah, really solidly run. I thought that Frank leaving would be the end of them, but uh, they've they've hung on. They look good. I guess one more storyline too. It feels like there are more sort of pending transfers going on right now during the FPL season than ever before, or potential
Mm.
transfers. Just I like between Wisa, not Bowen, Isak. Yeah, Bowen might be leaving West Ham
Yeah,
after
Bowen
this
requesting
nasty
a
thing with the
transfer.
fans.
You heard it here first.
Um, uh, Donnarumma might go to Man City. Yeah, Wisa could go to Newcastle, or Strand Larson could go to Newcastle, or like they're probably going to need to sign some striker. So who's that going to be? Savinho or whoever other attacker Spurs bring in. I know Chelsea are still linked with a couple people, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, Garnacho and Simons, but
Right.
like those are really dependent on getting Jackson and Nkunku out the door, and those have just been taken forever. I think a lot of this sort of weird transfer. Well, it's like there's been the big six teams have been moving like crazy. Obviously, like this is the most Liverpool have spent in a long time, especially if they get Isaac. That is, you know, that's an insane spending window. But I think
Crazy.
a lot of it just has to do with but like mid-table teams, I feel like are just struggling to do any type of business. Like Fulham, I don't think they've made a
Right.
transfer. Like
They have not.
and
Crazy.
Everton, I know up until recently have been. Yeah, I was ringing the alarm bells about them. That's why I think they still might. I mean, I predicted them to go down. It's just because their business has been horrible. They just brought in Dibbling, who is talented, but I don't think he's going to help. And now Grealish is on the team, and I think he'll be good, but I can still see this. I can still see them going down. But I think it's just new PSR rules. I don't know how they work precisely, but it just like before. I mean, I think they're just going to benefit the teams that generate the most revenue, and it's going to be the big six teams, and it's tough for the smaller teams. I mean, like, I honestly don't know how Liverpool are spending this much. I don't understand it. I
It's the
thought like
Coutinho funds.
yeah, no, they still got like the coffers from Coutinho. Yeah, it's looking war chesty out here.
It
But
is.
yeah, like I honestly like, yeah, with Wirtz and Ekitike, like I thought, I was like, oh yeah, nice window for Liverpool. And honestly, it's putting some of Chelsea's transfer windows to shame if they get Isaac, for 120. It's just like, oh
And Gay too. Gay.
Yeah.
They're
Well,
still in on
honestly,
him. Like,
I heard his like price tag is like what 30, 40 mil. That's cheap
yeah,
as
well, he's out
hell.
of contract in 2026.
Oh, that's
So
true. Yeah.
yeah, but
His
still,
contract.
it's still crazy. I mean, they should, yeah. City should. I think I'd be down to City. Apparently, that's a rumor. Somehow, I've heard like a kanji to Crystal Palace is potentially a thing. So maybe we could do an old switcheroo there.
Yeah, Glasner would have him buzzing. This is
Yeah, honestly, I feel like the high line that City play Akanji is he's at least last season. He's been really, really good for us, and now it's an amazing transfer to get him for 25 mil, but 20 mil maybe even. But yeah, last season he was just looking a little cooked. I think it would be great to have him in the rotation still, but if we're selling him for 15 mil, I'm not too mad about it. And I think, yeah, actually, what you were saying, like this PSR stuff, and there's also, I feel like this now more than ever, teams want to buy the replacement for a player before, or sell a guy before they actually let another
yeah.
domino fall, where they buy the guy. So it's like Newcastle. Maybe they'll sell Isak, but they have to buy another striker before, and they've been shot down by like different
That's
strikers now.
true. Yeah.
Same with Chelsea. Yeah, Chelsea want to sell Nick Jackson or some of these other guys, Sancho, maybe even loaning out Evil Saka, Tyreek George before they bring anybody else in. City, they're going to wait to see what happens with Savinho before they make a move for Rodrigo. Similarly with Ederson and Donnarumma, Ederson has to go to Galatasaray. It's all these things. It's like there's like the like always sunny board with all the strings
Yeah.
on it.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
all these dominoes have to fall in order for these transfers to actually happen. And I think they will. I think we're probably in for like a crazy next week, and probably like
Yeah.
Sunday or Monday. I forget when the transfer deadline is. I think it's technically
I
like
think
September 1st.
Sunday. Yeah. Or
Yeah. So like I
I
think
guess it was
that's just gonna.
Sunday.
Yeah, I think that's just gonna be an insane day. Like Ornstein and Fabrizio are just gonna be just like putting up here we goes and there we
Yeah. I
land.
mean,
So
everyone's just waiting for like the best deal. Like that's why they're just waiting.
yeah,
They're just like, oh, I could shave 5 mil off of this, Yeah, if I wait.
exactly. Yeah. So we're in for a crazy week. I mean, yeah, I think it's gonna like the FPL. Like I was saying, I think this will have. It feels like the transfer deadline is gonna have more FPL, just like more FPL implications than ever. So it'll be really interesting. Stay tuned. I think that's it for all the topics that I wanted to get to, though. I don't know if you had anything else.
We can wrap it up there.
Yeah, let's hear that sweet, sweet Daichi quote. Play us out.
Title fight? Get in there! Get in there! You beauty! Come on, you! Love that from you. I didn't say it. No headlines. I did not say we're in a title fight. The media said that we were in a title fight. Okay.
Hashtag believe.
Wow, yeah, I'm on there, yeah. Every player.